Everyone in Echo Company remembered the slam of that steel tray before they remembered her name. The clang still echoed in the mess hall whenever someone whispered about the Marine who made the biggest mistake of his life, hitting the quiet woman who'd been hiding the most dangerous truth on base. No one knew then that she came from a SEAL unit so classified that even the men who served beside her couldn't speak its name. No one knew she had sworn never to fight again. And no one knew that the moment that tray hit the floor, the past she'd buried was about to rip itself back open, and take the entire base with it. That's where this story begins, where a single moment of anger reveals the kind of strength no one expected, and the kind of pain no one saw coming. Mara Hale moved through Camp Alderson like a shadow, silent, efficient, unnoticed. That was exactly how she wanted it. She had requested the quietest assignment the Navy could give her after the last mission with her unit. Technically, she shouldn't even have existed. Her Team SEAL unit Kestrel operated completely off the books, far more silent and far more lethal than any platoon the public had ever heard of. For reasons she didn't tell anyone, she had stepped away from that world. This base, with its routine and paperwork and predictable hours, felt like a different planet. Most people on base thought Mara was a support tech transferred from another station. She didn't correct them. She didn't talk much at all. But there was one person who noticed her, Staff Sergeant Kohlreicher. Big, loud, quick-tempered, and respected mostly because no one wanted to deal with him. He wasn't a bad Marine, just a Marine carrying too much anger and nowhere good to put it. His platoon had taken losses overseas, the kinds of losses that left soldiers walking like cracked glass. Cole came back blaming everything and everyone, the chain of command, the mission planners, and especially anyone who looked like they didn't earn their place in uniform. Mara, quiet and small-framed, looked like exactly the kind of person he couldn't understand. The incident happened on a Thursday afternoon. Mess hall packed. Forks scraping against metal, laughter bouncing off concrete. Mara stood in line, staring at food she wasn't hungry for. Cole was behind her, already irritated from a morning briefing that went badly. A corporal bumped Cole accidentally, making him slosh hot stew onto his sleeve. In the split second before he reacted, Mara stepped back to give him room. Wrong moment. Wrong person. Wrong day. Cole snapped. "Watch where you're going," he barked. Mara didn't move. Didn't flinch. She simply said, quiet as always, "I wasn't touching you." To Cole, that calm sounded like disrespect. Fury surged through him. His tray clattered against hers. The sound rang out across the hall. Then, in a moment he wouldn't remember clearly later, Cole shoved her hard. When she didn't stumble, didn't lose her balance, didn't even blink, the eyes of the hall widened. Cole's anger flared hotter. He struck her. Not a playful slap, not a shove, an actual hit. A roar went up around the room. Chairs scraped. Someone yelled for the CO, someone else yelled at Cole. But what froze everyone wasn't the hit. It was Mara's face. No fear. No anger. Just disappointment. As if this was a familiar moment. As if she'd faced much worse. She didn't hit back. She didn't even lift a hand. She just said one sentence, soft but cutting through the chaos. "You should not have done that." Cole laughed, unsteady. "Or what? You gonna cry about it?" But before Mara could speak again, before anyone could grab Cole's arm, the klaxons went off, an emergency alert. The kind that turned every stomach to ice. The kind that meant something was terribly wrong. The base was under breach. And suddenly, everyone discovered that the quiet woman they ignored knew exactly what to do. The sirens wailed across the base, sweeping away the shock of the fight. Marines scrambled, grabbing gear, racing to stations. Cole stood frozen, guilt and adrenaline flooding him at the same time. Mara didn't hesitate. While others panicked, she moved as if she'd been waiting for this siren for years. The commander burst into the hall, shouting for personnel to fall in. But when he saw Mara at the front of the crowd, already pulling tactical goggles off her belt, goggles no support tech should have, he hesitated. "Hale," he said. "Why do you have?" But before he could finish, the lights flickered. The power grid jolted. The hall dipped into dim emergency red. Mara answered him without turning. "Because you're about to need me, sir." There wasn't time to ask why. Outside, the breach team moved with disturbing precision, too coordinated for ordinary intruders. They were dressed in dark gear, carrying weapons that didn't match any known insurgent group. Whoever they were, they knew exactly where to strike: the comm towers, the armory entrances, and the data bunker. Mara recognized the pattern instantly. "Black Hydra Protocol," she murmured. She hoped she'd never hear those words again. Cole, standing behind her, heard only the tone, not the words. Something in him shifted. She wasn't just some tech. She wasn't weak. She wasn't someone to hit. He watched her sprint toward the east exit. Despite the chaos, she moved with a calm, deadly purpose. Cole followed, partly out of duty, partly out of something he didn't understand, maybe shame, maybe awe, maybe the feeling that protecting her now was the only way to redeem the blow he'd landed. Outside, smoke rolled across the yard as small explosions lit up the perimeter fence. Mara assessed it all in a second, then pulled a compact transmitter from her pocket. Cole stared at it. "Where the hell did you get that?" "That's SEAL gear." Mara didn't answer. She was too busy overriding the base's encrypted channel, the kind of override only someone with top-tier clearance could execute. Within minutes she coordinated squad positions, rerouted the medics, sealed off compromised corridors, and called in a counter-strike pattern no one on base had ever heard of. Cole felt his throat tighten. "Who are you?" he asked. Mara didn't look up. "Someone who was supposed to stay hidden." A blast shook the building behind them. Debris scattered. A group of intruders sprinted through the smoke, weapons raised. Mara stepped forward before any Marine could react. Not violently, efficiently. She disarmed one, dropped another with a precise strike to the collarbone, then wrestled a rifle free and tossed it to Cole. Cole caught it, stunned. "This isn't possible." Mara corrected him calmly. "It is if you were trained for missions that don't get documented." By the time reinforcements arrived, Mara had coordinated the defense so cleanly that the breach was contained. Dozens of Marines were safe because of her. Not a single casualty beyond minor injuries. The enemy fled in confusion, realizing someone on base was operating on a different level. After the dust settled, the commander confronted her. "Hail. Mara. I need to know who you really are." She hesitated. Her hands trembled for the first time that day. "I used to be someone dangerous," she said. "But I left that life for a reason." Cole approached her, bruised knuckles and guilt in his eyes. "I hate you," he said quietly. "And you still saved my life." Mara looked at him, tired but steady. "You were hurting," she said. "Sometimes anger covers wounds people don't know how to treat." Cole swallowed hard. "Can you forgive me?" She nodded once. "Only if you forgive yourself." That night, after the base returned to normal, Cole sat alone outside the barracks. Mara approached, hands folded behind her back like she was still deciding whether she belonged in this world. "Why did you leave your unit?" Cole asked. Mara stared at the stars, the same way she had the night of her last mission with Kestrel. "Because I lost someone," she said. "Someone who taught me that strength doesn't always come from fighting. Sometimes it comes from walking away." Cole nodded, absorbing every word. And for the first time since losing his platoon, he allowed himself to breathe. Mara sat beside him. 2 soldiers, 2 wounds, 2 paths crossing because of one terrible moment in a mess hall. But the impact of that moment was already becoming something else, something healing, something human, something that would reshape both their futures. And neither of them knew it yet. But the enemy who attacked the base had done so for one reason: to draw Mara Hale out of hiding.